Me, my awesome friend Nathan Barry. How you doing, Nathan?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, and you're coming live from Idaho.
Yeah, from Boise, Idaho.
Fantastic. You and Russell Brunson and everybody else, right?
That's right.
So, listen, we're thrilled to be here today. We got, people who are going to be hopping on, but the big topic today is that the number one factor that helps authors, coaches, speakers, and entrepreneurs go pro. And I think that this is a very unsexy, overlooked factor. And that's why so many authors, coaches, speakers, and entrepreneurs are broke because they
Yep.
don't get this one point. So, first of all, talk a little bit who you are so people know who you are first.
Yeah. So I'm the CEO of an email marketing company called Seva. We do email marketing for creators, formerly ConvertKit. We can get into that later. Um, I'm also a designer, a little bit of a programmer, definitely an author. I've written 3 books,
Fantastic.
and I'm a blogger. And I think that describes everything that I do.
That's awesome. And just for sake of chatting, what are your books on? Like what topics?
Yeah. So the first one that I wrote comes from my background as a designer, and it's called the App Design Handbook, and it's about designing iPhone and iPad applications.
Wow.
I wrote that in 2012. And then later that year, I wrote another book called Designing Web Applications,
Okay.
and that's same concept, all about user experience and design. And then I wrote a book called Authority, which is all about marketing, publishing, self-publishing, all of that. And that's by far the most popular of the
That one
three
is
books.
that one is the most popular. Love it. Well, listen, you got some fans. Jeff Brown has already given you some shout out. We love for people to type in where they're from. So I see Janet. I see Shanina. If you are here with us, go ahead, type in where you're from. Nathan, let's get right to the content. We
Yeah.
have people who are going to be seeing this that are authors, coaches, speakers, and entrepreneurs. That's kind of the 4 target audiences that kind of hang and follow what I'm doing. Why is it so important that these types of people do not overlook something as important as email list building? I know what they're saying. They're saying, but I want to create stuff and I want to be passionate and I want my heart to show and I don't want to get into all that techie stuff. And yet, if they want to do what they love full time, this is part of it. So tell us what's going on.
Yeah. So email is pretty special because it is the direct connection to your audience. It's the way that you truly own that relationship. So when, RSS feeds or those die out or Facebook starts charging you to access your fans or whatever else, email is that direct connection where you can say, hey, this is what I'm working on. And there's no platform that's in control of that. If you don't like one email provider, you leave them and move your audience to another one. And it's this amazing direct connection. And so the more you build that, the better off you're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, I'm not a very active blogger anymore. I
Mm-hmm.
focus entirely on building Seva as a company. Yet I still have this advantage that I've got 35,000 people on an email list who still follow everything that I do. They're
Wow.
like, hey, could you publish a little more often? Because I only put, out a post maybe once a month or once every 2 or 3 months. But whenever I do have something, I have this big advantage in that I can bring them in and say, hey, this is the latest thing going on. This is what I'm working on. And it's just this direct connection. And then whenever I want feedback on a project, I just send it a quick note and say, hey, what do you think about this?
I love
And
it.
email is also super personal of like, just hit reply.
Mm-hmm.
And those are really powerful words in an email message because it shows this direct connection to the audience. And people are like, oh, I know how to reply to an email. And you get, this one-to-one feedback.
Right.
The other thing that I find, all these other channels are public, right? If I drop something on Facebook, it's not natural to reply to a broadcast in a one-on-one. And people might even be annoyed. Like, right, if I post something and then I get all these direct messages back on Facebook or Twitter, it's like, guys, quit annoying me. But in email, the expectation is that you send a reply that's one-to-one. And so I often get better stories from people where I say, hey, tell me about a time when whatever, or what do you think about this? I end up getting better, more personal feedback because they know it's just coming directly to me in a way that email expects.
I love it. That is so wise to share that. But I'm totally with you. I tell people that building your email list is kind of like planting a tree. And maybe this is a lame analogy, but I think a lot of people get it. There's a quote that says, when is the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago, right? Because then you can enjoy it, whether it's an apple tree or shade or wood. When's the second best time? Today. In other words, stop living in regret. Stop thinking, well, you know what? I don't have an email list, Nathan, so that's nice for you. Look, if you're going to use that as an excuse, how long are you going to use that as an excuse? And I was just sitting with a guy this morning who has a 200,000 person Instagram follower account. I won't drop his name, but he's a pretty big dude. 0 email subscribers. And you and I both know that if Instagram decides one thing overnight, he can literally lose everything overnight. Now, talk to us about that. Like, can you lose your email list overnight?
Yeah. Well, I suppose there's something you could do to lose it.
But otherwise, you own it, right? I mean,
it's your direct relationships.
Yeah.
You're not sharecropping on someone else's platform. You're not asking, hey, Facebook, if it's good with you, I'd still like to reach my audience. Thanks. Because all those changes happen. Platforms come and go. But the biggest thing is that all these platforms have to make money.
Right.
And so they say, so here's the deal. I need you to pay now to reach your audience. Would you like to boost this post? And then it used to be super cheap to do that. Now it's getting more and more expensive.
Sure.
And so that's why you want to have this one thing that you own. Now I'm a huge advocate of using all the social networks.
Right.
We're obviously doing that right now for video. It's amazing to build these connections, reach more people. But my end goal is to get people on my email list.
Fantastic. So now comes the question of how. And I get people who ask me that all the time. They say, Kary, look, there's Aweber, there's MailChimp, there's all these different things. A lot of my clients ask me that question. What I tell them, Nathan, is I say, listen, experiment with Seva, formerly ConvertKit, for free for a month. And I'm dropping the URL right in the comments where people can explore. And I kind of say, like, you play in the sandbox for a month and experiment and tell us some of the features, because I know a lot of companies do not have that support. You guys don't just say, hey, here's the tools. You actually help people create some of their first things needed. Tell us a little bit about what people can play with your software for free in the first month.
Yeah. So the first thing that everyone needs to do is set up a form or a landing page. And we've got those built in where you can make a really nice form. We actually just last week totally overhauled that part of it so that it's a really great setup. So you can make this beautiful form, landing page, get that going, start linking people to it. And that's the way that you're going to get subscribers. So if you're going to say, hey, I wrote this free guide, put in your email address to download it, or whatever it is. Back when I was growing a design audience, I'd have a lot of Photoshop templates or something like that, where it's, hey, put in your email address and I'll give you this opt-in incentive.
Yep.
For a technical jargony term, I guess, to describe it. So that's the first thing, making it really easy to build those out. Then probably the next thing to play with after that is just sending a few automated emails. There's this amazing visual automations builder inside of Seva that you can use to determine who gets what email and when, depending on how they interact with it. But you don't need to go crazy with it. You can just start really simply and saying, hey, now that you've joined my newsletter, now that you've subscribed, here's one of my favorite articles that I wrote. It could be 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And you're trying to you want people, to come back and find that article, but they may never dig through the archives on your blog to find it.
Sure.
And so you put that as the first email or the third email or, down in that list in a series. And then once everyone subscribes, they get your best content and they know what you're about, as they work down through that. And then as you write future articles, you could reference back to those, and that everyone's on the same page. They know what you're about and they know your core values. So you don't have to explain them in every future article because everyone has shared context.
I love it. We got people watching right now. I would love for people to take a bold step and say if they are using an email list. Like if they personally have an email list, I'd love for them to just say email list in the comments, because listen, I think we can hide behind our screens. We can kind of say, well, I'm not really going to confess. I'm not really going to be open and honest. But you've kind of removed all the excuses, Nathan. You've said, look, not only can you get it for free and try it out, test drive it, but then you've created these things that caused a lot of creatives' heads to spin: landing pages, lead magnets. You talked about visual. I don't even know what you said, but yep. Again, and I'm not that guy who's super techie. And yet I knew a long time ago that I got a big mission to ignite souls. And if I don't get this thing right, I'm not going to be able to ignite souls. So that's kind of what I want to couch this in. We're not just saying, hey, build an email list because, it's cool. We're saying if you want to do your passion full time, if you want to help as many people as you can, and I know you guys do like a lot of people with causes, right? A lot of people with passion. I love the fact that I've even seen you decline some businesses that are shady, that, want email lists that are shady. You don't allow them to be on there. So that's why I brought you on today. It's a value match. But look at these people, Nathan. Jeff says, I do. I've moved from another service, never looked back. Christine says, I'm getting ready to switch. There you go. Nice. The link's right in there.
Christine.
Go for it. Sarah, I love her honesty. Thank you for being honest. She's not using her email list. I love Janet. Hey, I got a small one. Who cares? You got one. That's better than a lot of people.
That I want to say to anyone who's got a small list or just really getting started. Let's say you've got 15 subscribers on that email list. Not 1,500, not 50, but 15 subscribers. The number that would, it's not very many. And so you're like, is it even worth it to send this email to only 15 people? And the thing to do is to imagine that you have, maybe you're in a conference room or a meeting room at an office, something like that. And then all 15 of those people are sitting around the table. That's a big table.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, that's a lot of people. And so then you're like, great, I actually know who these people are. You can do the equivalent of looking at each one of their faces, seeing how they're resonating with your content.
Oh, that's good.
You can start to teach them and say, okay, how can I provide value to you? What would you like to know? And so you could send one-off emails to each of those 15 people on your list and say, tell me your story. I'd like to get to know you. One friend, Chris Gillibo, famously had individual email conversations with everyone who joined his list, up to 10,000 people.
Wow.
And think of the connection that you have there, where, you joined my list and maybe you just came across me and my blog looks super impressive. And you're like, wow, this guy is already, growing a great audience and all of this. And you join my list. And then I come back and I'm like, hey, Kary, thanks so much for joining the list. I was checking out your site. Looks like you're doing really great stuff. Really excited about the Elixir project. Like if there's some level of personal stuff like that, and you're like, wait, what? All I did was sign up for somebody's email list.
Yeah.
Then think of how much of a fan you would be going forward, because you'd feel like that relationship. So if you've only got 15 people, take it as an opportunity to really serve them and know what needs they have. And then I promise if you take that approach, it will grow into 25, 50, 100, and well beyond that.
Wow, that is so good. I mean, who talks about that? Who talks about saying, treat these 15 people like rock stars? Because listen, if you don't, you're not going to even have one.
Right.
Right? In other words, we all want a bigger tribe. We all want a bigger list. Yet, if they're just numbers to you, they feel that pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. Wow. Good. So listen, Nathan, you are coming to the Igniting Souls conference. Your company is. And that was a thing that we kind of asked you guys to do, because we know that we have a publishing company called Author Academy Elite. We have all kinds of programs for entrepreneurs, coaches, and speakers. And we know that unless our people get this thing right. Email list building effectively. They are only going to be wantrepreneurs and not entrepreneurs. Have you seen that pattern over the years?
Yeah, we definitely see people who don't either take the connection with their audience seriously, um, or they don't stick with it for long enough. I
Yeah.
think those are the two things. They get discouraged by only having 15 people on their list, or
Right.
something like that. Or you could be like me and hit it big with a blog post or something like that. Like, who wouldn't want to publish a blog post and on a site that gets no traffic?
Right.
Like 100 visits in an entire month. And then this is what I had happen. I published all of that. I published a new blog post and it got 30,000 visits in a day. Like, that's just insane. So I'm from 100 visits a month to 30,000 in a day.
Wow.
And this post went absolutely viral. I was so thrilled about it. It was about designing iPhone apps and like my first experiences selling in the App Store. And then I was thinking, I've now made it as a blogger. Like, I'm successful. But really, looking back at the graph in Google Analytics, if you were to block out that month, it was November 2011. If you were to hide November, you'd see the graph for October being at basically nothing. And then you'd expect December, like November is way up here. So where's December? Well, it's actually right back at basically nothing, like slightly more. And really the mistake that I made is that I didn't have any way to stay in touch with these people. I didn't know about email marketing. I didn't know that when people come in, all this traffic, all these people who've never heard of me before, that I should have something of value for them to sign up for.
Wow.
I had a free ebook, or even if I just said, hey, if you enjoyed this article, join my newsletter. I'll send you more content like it. That would have at least gotten me hundreds.
So you missed the opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I tell people often, it's a little cute saying, but it's true. When you prepare for the moment is prepared for you. You weren't prepared. But I mean, I love how you're admitting that, but you're saying now you are. And listen, we could talk a ton about your success because I believe you guys are making some crazy value in the world and being compensated for it financially. Tell people, just so they can have hope, you started ConvertKit back in the day at probably zero. Where are you as an entrepreneur today? I mean, how many people are you reaching? Give us a little bit of metrics just so people realize, like, you know what? Here's a guy just like me. At one point in his life, he had 5 people on his email list. Yep. And today he's here. So just give us a little bit of craziness here.
Yeah. So where Seva's at today, and it's still a little weird to say because we just rebranded 12 days ago. So it's brand new. But we're now serving almost 20,000 creators who use our platform. And that ranges from everyone from, people like Chris Gillibo and Pat Flynn to Gretchen Rubin and Tim Ferriss.
Wow.
To even like musicians like Tim McGraw now uses us to connect with his audience.
Gee.
So
how crazy is that? I mean, that's just crazy to say that you've created a product that Tim McGraw uses. I mean, that's pretty nuts.
Yeah. Oh, it's so much fun. But then our team's now 37 people. We just passed $1 million a month in revenue. So that is pretty fantastic. And then the one thing that I find the most fun is that those 20,000 creators that we serve, they actually have a reach of nearly 80 million subscribers.
80 million subscribers.
And that's unique subscribers. So if you and I have the same person on each of our lists, just counting them as one.
Wow.
And so I think about that of, okay, if we're trying to put out our best content and improve people's lives and teach and educate them, that's 80 million people that we as a community are reaching. And then now it's almost 7 billion individual emails that we've sent through Seva. So that's a lot of touch points.
As many emails as there are people on planet Earth. That is crazy. Yep. That is awesome. Well, listen, we're gonna land this plane here in just a few minutes, but live events are so important. We got to talk about that because so many times on social media, in email. It's a great relationship, but it cannot replace flesh and blood,
Yeah.
handshakes, coffee, whatever. In fact, the whole reason you and I are on this thing today, remember this? We met each other in San Diego at the breakfast.
That's
I
right.
don't know what that breakfast was even called. We called it something. I forget.
At social media marketing world, though.
Yeah, but we met at a conference,
Yep.
and we're chatting today, years later. You're coming now to Igniting Souls conference.
Mm-hmm.
Your people are going to teach breakout sessions for our people to learn and grow and get better. I love it. Why is it important to show up? You just had your own conference. It was
Right.
time, it was money, it was manpower, woman power. You get it. Why did you do that? Live events.
Yeah, it's because the connection with people makes all the difference. Like we can see someone's tweet go by or even subscribe to someone's email list, and it's just not the same as even a 10-minute in-person conversation. And so that's why, like, it makes all the difference. I think of all of these people in my community, even a lot of my close friends, I met them at conferences.
You did. I know.
So for example, back in 2012, I went to a conference called the World Domination Summit, hosted by Chris Guillebeau.
Yep.
And I knew no one. And I walked up, I was like, okay, I have to walk out of this, like, at least knowing somebody. And so I walked up to these two guys who were saying they're talking right after I registered and introduced myself and said hi, and like kind of awkwardly joined their conversation.
Right.
And they ended up being James Clear and Caleb Logic, who
Wow.
Caleb now produces all of our videos. We've shot whole documentaries with him. He and I started a mastermind group that we kept going, or that's still going today.
Wow.
6 years later. And James has been a part of that group. And like James has gone on to build one of the largest single author blogs of all time.
And he's in Columbus, Ohio as well.
That's right.
Yeah, we've done smoothies together. Exactly.
Yeah. So you just don't know who you're going to meet at a conference. And it's not that you're going to go meet people who will become famous. It's that if you become friends with these people, then you can form a mastermind group. You can stay in touch with them and you can build each other's projects up.
Yeah.
Like, I think if all of us hadn't found each other, like, it would have been a lot harder for us to build up like the businesses and the audiences that we have.
Absolutely.
All that personal connection.
I agree. And, I get it because I was an outsider to this space. I mean, my former day job was a pastor. Trust me, I wasn't going to entrepreneurial conferences. And there was in the beginning this me on the outside looking in and saying, I wish I could be part of that in group. I wish I knew these people. I wish I could collaborate. And you know what? For the beginning few years, I hid behind my computer. I said, well, I got a wife and 3 kids and I can't travel and blah, blah, blah. It wasn't until I got my butt out of the seat and actually, just like you, went to some of these events and met people. And that's where things began to change. So I'm totally with you. Let us know here in our last few minutes. I'm going to put a link for the Igniting Souls conference, but let us know what your people are going to teach us at the conference in these breakout sessions. I mean, it's going to be not just theory. They're probably going to fire up their laptops and like walk us through stuff, right? Can you let us know?
Yeah. So it's going to, depend a little bit. One thing that they do really well is find out who's in the room and like what level to teach at, right? Because you could go total beginner, you could go way far advanced, and you want to make sure you're doing the right thing for who's in the room.
Right.
But the things that we always like to cover are how to grow your list. So how to get your first 100 subscribers.
Awesome.
And then how to take those principles and turn it into 1,000 subscribers and beyond. So how to grow your list. We have a lot of insights, having sent 7 billion emails and having all the data from that.
Yeah.
We have a lot of insights into what's working and what's not. So they'll share some behind the scenes there. And then start to teach some of the fundamentals of automation. Because one of those things that we want to see is we don't want to see you spend all of your time on email marketing.
Right.
We want to see you set some stuff up and then get back to creating. And then a week or two later, come back and tweak it, improve things a little bit. Like, I've seen people brag about their software, like how much time people spend in their software. Like it's so good. People use it every single day.
Right.
You kind of go, that's the opposite of what we want. We want
Right.
people to create systems and
Right.
automation that works well. And then that way they're like, actually, I haven't logged in today or yesterday because I've been so busy creating.
I love it. Listen, man, you nailed it. And case in point, I mentioned this mystery guest that I met with this morning who's got a big following. While I was meeting with him, I then go back to my phone afterwards. You know, I'm helping this guy create some stuff. I come back to my phone and I look and I see sale, sale, sale,
Right.
sale. In other words, people, and I don't say, ooh, I sold something today. I said, look at that. That's Carolyn. She just joined our author program. Oh, look, that's Susie. She just joined a program on how to become unhackable in work and life. Like, I love the fact, Nathan, that you're not about the bottom line. You're not about sales. You're not about dollars. You're about, are you doing your best work and helping solve the world's problems? So, Nathan, what do you want to say in closing? The floor is yours. Anything else, man, that you kind of say to these four groups of people: authors, coaches, speakers, and entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I want to leave people with is keep going.
Mm.
We always underestimate how long all of this is going to take. You know, I've been building this company for 5.5 years now. The first 2.5 years were nothing of note. You know, anyone objectively looking at the numbers and the growth and any of that would objectively say, hey, you should shut this down. It's not working.
Wow.
So it's the same thing. I run into authors and bloggers and everyone else who say, you know what, blogging is just not for me. I'm like, oh, wow. Why? Tell me about it. And they're like, I've been writing every weekend for 3 months and I just don't have traction yet. And it's like, it's because you have the wrong expectations going into it. Know that it's going to take a lot of time. So my friend Sean McCabe talks about this idea of showing up every day. And we even, for Seva, have our t-shirts say create every day. But what Sean says is show up every day for 2 years. And that properly sets the expectation that this is going to take time. And you're going to have to work on it hard and consistently. But if you know that you're going to work at it on that level, then you're going to see the success in it. Just know that it's going to be hard and it's going to take a lot of time.
Yeah. I love that, man. You're just being so honest. You're giving encouragement to people who, might not be seeing results immediately, but I'm convinced, and I don't know if you'll agree with this, Nathan, but I'm convinced that the people who are successful are the people who didn't quit.
Yep.
You know, there's so many people who start, drop, start, drop, start, drop. The people who we look around and say, wow, they're really successful, they didn't have more success. They just didn't quit.
Right. Yeah. And you see that in the people who have the podcasts that run, 300 episodes, 400 episodes, those numbers get up there. Whether it's vlogging or writing or whatever it is, find your thing that you're going to do every day. Even if it's, I'm going to write 50 words a day or 500 words a day, and just show up every single day for at least 2 years. And then you'll tweak things, you'll learn along the way.
Yeah.
But, it might be a totally different thing that you end up doing at the end of that time than before, but you will find success if you do it for that long consistently.
Awesome. Sarah, I just want to make a comment to you. I see that you're from the UK. Hey, email our team, support@KaryOberbrunner.com. We have something happening in the UK here in 2018. So let us know, okay? Nathan, loved our time. So honored that you believe that the Igniting Souls Conference is worth Seva's time to send 2 people to come train our people on how to maximize email marketing in a personable, authentic, non-salesy way. And just congrats on all your success. I know renaming is a big thing, and I'm sure you've taken some hits, but I agree. I think it's fantastic. And just keep leading with courage.
Sounds good. Thank you for having me.
All right. We'll see everybody. Listen, if you enjoyed this, please tell Nathan thank you in the comments. Check out the link as well. Maybe even try the 30-day trial, and tag somebody who is a creative who isn't getting it, because they need to get it and we need to encourage them. Thanks so much. We'll see you.